Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever else you are. I'm in Miami, the Magic City. Let's start with the first principle. Learn with your time and earn with your mind. And I think that's a really important principle, a foundational principle of prosperity. And that's what we're going to discuss on this lesson this week. So do me a favor, say, hey, just check in and say hi in the chat. And I see some people already have. We have Svetsin from Bulgaria, Rena Romano's in the house, Stefan from Austria. Good to see you here. Jorge Melendez from beautiful Ciudad de Mexico, Jose Lopez de Colombia, and of course, Paula Z on the JOB, who keeps us all in shape every week. Ron Sohu from Guadalajara, Mary Ellen from Key West, Nigeria. We got, okay. All right, so for you, if you're just joining us for the first time, welcome. And I see, I see Peter in Canada. I had to move up the time this week, so I know a lot more of you will be watching the replay this week instead of the live. So check in on the replay. We always repost that on the YouTube channel every Monday, Prosperity TV, and I rebroadcast it on the Power Prosperity podcast every Monday. So Thursday night was, and I did not put on my lights. Let me put them on. As you can see, I'm dressed for softball. Thursday night was the team that I helped coach for the softball practice. We got rained out. The playoffs are tomorrow. I'm trying to get these guys qualified for the World Series. So the only time we could get another field to do their practice is this morning. So that's why I moved you guys up early. So we call this the Prosperity Unchurch. It's not a religion. It's not a church. It's just a fellowship of prosperity conscious people who get together every Saturday morning, normally at 10 a.m. Miami time, and do a lesson on something to do with the principles of prosperity, free enterprise, and generosity. And we do this on a love offering basis, which means you pay whatever it means to you. The website to support the show is randygage.com/go. Just G-O, randygage.com/go. And you can PayPal, Venmo, debit card, however you want to support the work. But I'm challenging you guys to do that, to support the work. That's on the screen. There's the website. I'm doing this as a test to see, okay, I'm trying to get these principles out there and do it in a way that for people who can't afford the work to get it. But that only works if the people who can support it do. And really anything. I have people who do $1 a week, I have people who do $2 a week, $5 a week. I love seeing those because that's prosperity consciousness in action. Somebody saying, yeah, maybe I don't have the financial wherewithal to give $50 or $100. Okay, but I can show just the community that I'm here every week, and it's send my $2 a week, whatever it is. We appreciate it all. So, and also to share the show, share the podcast, share the YouTube replays, and tell your friends about the live show if they want to join us and be here for the chats. Since it's early, we don't have a lot of people on, I'm going to skip the homework from last week because, asking you to report on it, because we're going to talk about it even more this week because it's very interrelated to this week's lesson. And so I will check in with some of you guys next week on that. But if you weren't here, last week we talked about creating a talent catalog for abundance. Why is that important? Because you may not be able to be the number one person in the world at something. Excuse me. Maybe we have LeBron or Steph Curry or whoever you'd say is number one in basketball. And Jacob deGrom is the best baseball pitcher on the planet right now, or whoever is the top. But when you can put together different skills and talents, you can create real value for the universe. And the more value you create for the universe, the more prosperity you're going to be able to manifest. And so when we talk about make money with your mind, as we are today, you're going to see how we dip into that talent catalog. And really, this is practical application. I promise you, if you hang around to the end of the lesson today, you're going to see, hey, I really can apply this in my life. I really do have certain talents and skills and other talents and skills that I will need to develop, that I can hone, that I can get better at. And that will allow me to manifest more prosperity in my life. So let's look at a couple of conventional premises. I think it's safe to say it's a conventional premise that some skills are low paying and limiting. If you are a dishwasher in a pancake house like I was, that's not a very lucrative skill. It's a limited skill that does not pay you a large degree of money. If you're a landscape worker and you're working for a company and you're mowing lawns and trimming trees and things like that, it's limiting in a sense. And of course, all jobs are honorable. Please understand that. Anytime we make a social contract for someone and they need a service performed and you're willing to do it and you create an agreed upon price, whether you're a dishwasher, busboy, waiter or waitress, bartender, landscaper, street sweeper, janitor, any of those, up to brain surgeon and astronaut and everything else. That is a value for value exchange, and that's a prosperous equation. But we also need to recognize that some of those skills are not as highly rewarded from the financial sense as others are. And some of them, by the way, are really, really noble. I think you can make the argument that nurses and teachers and guidance counselors, other youth counselors, are probably some of the most valuable services to the universe, but society has not chosen to reward them in a very prosperous manner. And we need to do something about that. That's one of those examples of how we need to share the message of prosperity and create more prosperity consciousness in the world. So if we have that as one of the premises that, okay, there are some skills that are low paying and limited. On the other side of the equation, then we have the premise that some skills are lucrative, but still limited. If you're a dentist, I would say that's a limited skill. If you're a brain surgeon, if you're a plumber, if you're an electrician, I'd say those are all limited skills, but very lucrative, right? Because society values those professions. And if you need a brain surgeon, you're not looking for coupons or discounts. You want the best brain surgeon that you could possibly afford. And when our health is threatened, right, we would sell our house, we would sell our car, we would exchange pretty much everything we have in order to get our health back. So it can be lucrative, but it's still limited. I see Jedi Jonak joined the course. Good to see you here, Arthur. So bear with me, I got a frog in my throat. Even if you're the world's preeminent brain surgeon, that's very limiting from a prosperity standpoint, because what does it take? 3 hours to do a brain surgery, 7 hours to do a brain surgery. When you're not doing that brain surgery, you're not getting paid. You're trading time for money. And so while it's lucrative, it's not, it's very limiting. So let's talk about how do we reframe the premise rather. So let's change it. Instead of from hourly versus salary, white collar versus blue collar, management versus workers. A lot of these are still in the trading time for money scenario. But let's talk about even some other ones, which are not rich versus poor, not educated versus non-educated, not about connections, race, sexuality. But what I think has become the most important dynamic in the world today, which is leveraged versus not leveraged. This is the equation where we're really going to talk about how do we exercise our mind to manifest money. So when I titled this lesson, Make Money with Your Mind, I don't want you to think this is in some metaphysical woo-woo element like The Secret, that you're just holding the vision of your Ferrari pulling up into your driveway and that's going to happen. No, I'm talking about very practical application sense, that how we can learn with our mind, learn with our time, but then earn with that knowledge, with that wisdom, with the talents that we can develop with the mind. So let's go back to the talent catalog that we talked about last week. Here are some things you want to get paid for. And before I'm just scratchy all them. So Jorge or Jose, do me a favor, would you unmute and just tell them about the prosperity service that you're doing in Spanish and give them the link. Give me 1 minute to go get some water and then I'll be right back. All right, guys?
Go ahead, Jorge.
Good morning to all. Just for you to know, at noon, which is 1 o'clock Miami time, noon in Latin America, pretty much in Colombia, Ecuador, we do a weekly, the same prosperity service that you're seeing and listening to every week with Randy. Me and Jose do a Latin version every day. It goes from 12 to 1, which would be 1 to 2 Eastern Standard Time. You're likely invited. Anyone that you know that speaks Spanish, that doesn't pretty fully speak English, that would like to participate in this service, are more than welcome. It's the same way. It's a love offering basis, and we touch a different aspect every week. This week, we're going to be talking about a prosperity reset, how to reset yourself in prosperity. So thank you all, and here's Randy again.
All right, thank you, Jorge. So let's talk about practical application. Some of those things from and this is why I say, I think it's really related to the lesson last week of the talent catalog. What is the sense of, what are some skills or talents that I would suggest that you work on that you could manifest prosperity with? So let me give you a list. And this is certainly not an all-encompassing list, but this is just what jumps off my head in a New York minute. Judgment, critical thinking, lateral thinking, thought leadership. This is a really sexy one. Let's explore that a little more in a minute. Coding or programming software, providing information. This is a huge one for me that I want to double click on a little bit. Philosophy, which might shock or surprise some of you. Writing, speaking, and psychology. Now, why I choose those these are all, for the most part, these are skills that I really work on myself that have been really helpful to me in terms of manifesting prosperity. For you guys who don't know, I'm a high school dropout. So don't think when I say I study psychology, I don't want you to think I'm a psychiatrist or a psychiatrist. I'm a high school dropout, right? But I'm fascinated with human behavior. I'm fascinated as a marketer. When I write a book, I'm fascinated. What causes that book to become a New York Times bestseller, where so many people buy it in one short period of time that the New York Times says, hey, this is one of the top 10 books in the United States of America. And likewise in some of the other countries where my books have become bestsellers. What causes people to do that? If I offer a seminar or workshop, when I do a public program like my speaker school that I have coming up in a couple of months, what causes people to act? That's human behavior, and human behavior is always going to go down to psychology. Why do people do the things they do? Speaking is such a powerful skill. Everyone in the world really needs to be able to articulate their cause, their mission, their vision, the things that they would like to accomplish. You need to be able to enlist people to your cause. Writing is another example of that. I love the explosion of blogs that we see in the world. I love to see platforms like medium.com because I think it's nourishing this sacred quality of writing, which is so important. Think about Paula Z, our hostess with the mostest here, who just wrote a book, How to Be a Bulletproof Woman, right? So here she is, this single mother raising her kids, one of whom has special needs. And she's able to share her wisdom because she's able to articulate it through the power of writing. So other people in the world get the blessing of what it is that she does. Jorge is able to do that with his blog, with his books, with his speaking ability. Right? Jose has that speaking ability. Art Jonak, who's on here today, right? Art is a prolific presenter for conferences. He hosts a big annual conference. He speaks for many companies. He's able to articulate information that is a very valuable skill to the world. And then remember last week I talked about what I called the eulogy skills, meaning the skills that people are going to talk about at your funeral, right? At my funeral, I don't think, at least I hope, nobody's going to be talking about how compelling my keynote presentations were, or what a gripping novel, what a gripping sci-fi novel that I wrote, or how beautiful my writing was in the Radical Rebirth book. I hope they're talking about my qualities as a human being and how my existence as a human being made their existence as a human being more abundant, more prosperous. So when I say judgment, critical thinking, lateral thinking ability, empathy, these eulogy talents are really the things, they're kind of the cement or the glue that holds together those talents like coding or writing or speaking or brain surgery or knowing electrical engineering or knowing computer programming, all of those kind of things. So I hope when you were doing your homework last week that you concentrated on this, that you looked at what some of those talents in your catalog are, and what some of those talents that you want to work on. And by the way, if you want, well, let's maybe get that going in the chat. If you would just type in some of the talents that you have in your catalog that you worked on. So that would be a good way to kind of check in with some of the homework and get you thinking about how this applies in this lesson. And then while you're doing that, just type in, judgment, empathy, writing, speaking, psychology, philosophy, any of those that you're good at, or you want to work on, or you're going to consciously work to hone. Please share those in the chat. And then I want to talk about leverage. And this is the ultimate superpower, because leverage is the ultimate force multiplier. I saw the Zack Snyder version, the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League movie a couple of weeks ago when that first came out. For you guys who don't know, Zack was the director, and his original cut was 4 hours long of the Justice League movie with Batman and the Flash and Aquaman and the lady, what's her name? But and it was brilliant. It's just genius. But there's a really funny part where the kid who plays the Flash is in the car with Bruce Wayne. Bruce has just recruited, and Bruce, of course, is Batman, right? But he's in civilian life, he's Bruce Wayne. And so he recruits these guys to all work together as the Justice League to save the world from the forces of evil. And he's got the kid who's the Flash in his car, and the Flash says, "Remind me again, what's your superpower?" And he says, "I'm really, really rich." And I think that speaks to the power of leverage. Because what Bruce Wayne did is he leveraged his money to fight evil as Batman. He could buy the Batmobile and the Bat boat and the Batcopter and build the Bat cave and, keep Alfred on the payroll and fight the forces of evil and save the universe from death and destruction. So money is one of those things that we can leverage. So here's what I think. Somebody typed this in the chat. Use your time to learn skills that allow you to practice leverage. Use your time to learn skills that allow you to practice leverage. And you guys watching the replay, same thing. Say yo, hey, whatever, hit me up in the comments. Just let me know you're out there. So let's talk about things that you can leverage. So first of all, let's begin with that one of time. How do we leverage time? Well, the best examples usually come from the entertainment world. J.K. Rowling was on public assistance trying to raise her kids as a single mother. And then she came up with the idea of the Harry Potter book, the original Harry Potter, which was rejected by, oh my God, I don't even remember the number, like 11 publishers, 18 publishers, a ridiculous amount. Everybody threw up on the book. Nobody thought they just thought it was crazy. It was so out there that nobody wanted to touch it. And I don't know if it's changed, but the last I heard, she is the wealthiest woman in the United Kingdom, a multi-billionaire. And yes, she wrote some other books after that. She's probably up to 10 or 12 books at this point. But even the first one, if she just had stopped with the original Harry Potter, she would still be in the top 0.5% of the wealthiest people on earth. And she only wrote that book one time, right? But she wrote it one time and it got sold millions of times, because what the printing press does is it allows her to leverage the time that she spends writing. When Lady Gaga does a song, when the Black Eyed Peas do a song, I mean, look at the estate of Elvis. Look at the estate of Michael Jackson. To this day, decades after their deaths, Elvis Incorporated is just one of the most lucrative businesses in the world. And they're trading on leverage that is still there after the death of these artists. So we can do that through time if we devote our time to learning a skill that allows us to apply leverage. Now, we can leverage money. Now, this is really intriguing. Now, one caveat I'm going to say with money is sometimes you need the permission of other people, right? I don't know if it's this week or 2 weeks ago, but I think this week Elon Musk is the wealthiest person on earth. And if not, he was 2 weeks ago, and Bezos took it back this week. I don't know who's hot this week. But Elon leveraged money. Now, he was one of the original PayPal mafia, and so he had some good money from PayPal, but he invested it in other things. And one of those things was Tesla, right? And so people think, well, he's just been a billionaire for so long, he's never had to worry about money. But I can tell you, Jason Calacanis was here in Miami, who was a venture capitalist. He's an angel investor, I guess would be the best way to say it. So he was here in Miami last year, so I went to see him. And he was relating the story of having a coffee or lunch, I don't remember it was, with Elon Musk some years ago. And Elon was talking about this crazy new venture he was doing where he was going to make battery powered electric cars. And no one had heard of Tesla at that point. And, I shouldn't say no one, there were people who had invested in it. He had taken his PayPal money and dumped it in that. And so as he was talking to Jason asked, how are things going? And he said, well, I got like 2 weeks of payroll left. And after that, I have to pull the plug. And Jason then, after the coffee, sent him a check for 10 grand or 20 grand. I forgot which one it was. And just said, hey, thanks for coffee. It was nice. This new car, sounds interesting. Here's a deposit whenever it comes off the thing. And that gave Elon enough money to last another however many weeks. And ultimately now, of course, he's become the wealthiest person on earth, or the second wealthiest. But he relies on investors to do that. Even now, I would say Tesla doesn't really make any money. Tesla is like 100 times the value of GM and Ford and Chrysler and all those other ones. But their last quarter where they made, they show on a P&L that they made money, but that was just the credits they get for providing electrical powered cars. And he made a bunch of money on the Bitcoin in his portfolio. The actual car company doesn't make money. SpaceX, the actual space company, doesn't make money. Boring, the tunnel company, doesn't make money. I don't think Neuralink, which is the brain chip stuff he's working on, I don't think that makes money. So he's he needs investors to continue his work. And if he doesn't keep that narrative going where people say, hey, this guy is a genius. I think the work he's doing is amazing. I want to keep investing in the stock of his companies. He won't be able to continue that. So like, here's what we would say is the number one or number two wealthiest person on earth. And he still won't be able to bring his companies to fruition without the permission of you and me and the other people who would say, yeah, I want to buy some stock in that company of Elon's. So it's no different than you want to start a bowling alley and you go to your wealthy uncle and ask him, would he put 50,000 in and become a partner with you because you want to open the neighborhood bowling alley or a restaurant or a pub. You need the permission of other people. So in some cases, you have to be aware of that. Okay, I want to leverage money, but there's a limit to what I can do. And then you look for, okay, where can I leverage my money myself without permission? Okay, well, I see that there is a condo available in Mid Beach and it sells for $400,000. And I like that neighborhood. I think that's going to go up in value. I want to buy that condo as an investment and I'm going to rent it out. And hopefully I can flip it 5 years from now for $500,000. You don't need $400,000 to buy that. You might buy it with $80,000 or $100,000 or even $50,000. So the credit that you would get would allow you to practice leverage with your money. Now, we've talked about debt in these lessons a lot, so I'm not going to, go into that here. Obviously, I hate debt. I don't like people being in debt, but there are cases where you can go into debt for investments, which would make sense. So I don't give financial advice. I don't give legal advice. I'm just talking about this from the principles of prosperity. So we look for time as a way we can create leverage. Money is a way we can create leverage. Reputation is a way we can create leverage. Why is Elon able to raise money? Like if you look at SpaceX, if you looked at it from a profit and loss standpoint of how much money has gone into it, and then how much more money will be required to actually land rockets on Mars, to actually create a settlement on Mars. I mean, I don't think he's raised even 2% of the money that he'll actually need to fulfill the mission of SpaceX. And we could probably make the same argument for Blue Origin, the Jeff Bezos space startup, and a lot of other ones, right? So why do people do that? They do that because of Elon's reputation, because of Jeff Bezos' reputation, right? When people see what he did with Amazon, they say, I think this guy knows something about how to grow a company. I think this guy knows something about how to make money. I think this guy knows leadership and decision-making and cost analysis and product development and marketing and, all kind of a whole array of some of those talents and skills that we talked about. You develop a reputation, and that reputation will allow you to practice leverage. The next one is labor, right? We can practice leverage with labor. Again, with one caveat, I'm going to say, this will often require the permission of other people. So if Jorge creates a taco stand, what's the name of my favorite taco store there in Ciudad de Mexico? The one with it's got the Egyptian name. It's
El Khalifa.
Yeah, Khalifa. So if Jorge opens the El Khalifa taco stand, on a certain barrio in Mexico City, and it's doing really well. And then he asked Paula to work there from 7 to 3, and he asked Jose to work there from 3 to 11. He's got a little leverage because then he could work the graveyard shift. And now his little taco stand is working 3 shifts a day. Now he takes a little of that money that he earns, he buys a second taco stand, and he does it in a different neighborhood. And he asks me to work it from 7 to 3, and he asks Art to work the second shift. And then he has 5 taco stands. Then he has 10 taco stands, right? He's practicing leverage, but he needs the permission of other people to do that in a case like that. Same thing if you do a landscaping service and then you hire 10 people to work with you. So you have 2 crews of 5. Now you're working with one customer on Elm Street at the same time another crew is working with a customer on Oak Street. That's leverage. But again, we need the permission of people to do that. But there are cases where you don't need permission, right? The biggest, I don't know, do I want to say this or not? Let me think about this. Art, you can check in on this in the chat. Am I, whatever you think, tell me what you think. Is the biggest development in leveraging labor going to be robots? I think that's possible. Because robots can do an extraordinary amount of manual labor. And now with coding, in essence, when you create software, you're just building robots in essence, right? So when you can write code that, like for right now, if you call your credit card company because you've got a question about your payment, it's very likely that you're talking to a computer that you think is a human, even though they're talking to you, because the development in programming is so great that come on, if I say, Alexa, I want to buy a vitamin.
Based on your order history, I found vitamin D3, 5,000 IU, non-GMO, 360 mini soft gels. It's $15.95 with delivery by tomorrow. I added it to your Amazon cart for review. To purchase, say buy it now.
Buy it now. So I just bought a vitamin from a computer. That was Alexa. Oops, now she's gonna keep talking. But that's that's leverage, guys. That is how Bezos is putting computers to work to practice leverage. So he just sold me a bottle of vitamin D, I think it was, she said, with leverage, with a computer that took my order. And there's a lot of other computers are going to be involved in the delivery of that product to me. And that product's going to be here tomorrow. Tomorrow is Sunday in Miami, right? Sunday. So think of how it used to be if I ordered, I went to a website and I clicked, and then I went to 10 different pages and I finally and I'm going to get it a week from now. So with leverage, I just bought a vitamin with a computer. A computer is going to knock it into a basket. Another bot or robot is going to bring that basket and bring it to someone who's going to tape it up, or a machine is going to tape it up, and then it's going to go to a loading dock. And finally, ultimately, a human is going to bring it over to my condo. But who knows? There might be 5 different robots who are involved in my purchasing that product. And I'm getting it much better, much faster, much quicker, much cheaper than if I was doing all this with humans, right? That's the power of leverage. Yeah, so I'm checking in with Jedi Jonak. For capital leverage, somebody has to give you money. Coding, writing tweets, podcasts, writing code, these are permissionless. The robot revolution has already arrived. All right, so he's in sync with me on that, you know, I don't know if he agrees this might be the biggest development in terms of leverage, but I really think so. So again, you don't have to build computers. If you use your time to learn how to write code, you will have robots that can work for you and you can leverage your labor. And then, of course, my favorite for me, being not a very tech guy, is knowledge. Or let's say it's knowledge/information. This is in essence what I do. I'm an information entrepreneur. I sell information. And I do it through speeches and seminars and books and videos and audios and coaching programs and consulting programs. But what am I doing? I'm using my skills of judgment, critical thinking, lateral thinking ability, thought leadership, providing information, philosophy, writing, speaking, psychology, and I'm leveraging them and selling them. And you know, what better example of this than Michael Bloomberg? He's worth like 40 billion, $50 billion net worth. And he's just selling the information of stocks as what they're going up and going down. But he used his mind to create a terminal that people pay thousands upon thousands of dollars to have that terminal on their desk because it tells them about the fluctuation in a stock price half a second before they could get it on a website. And in that half a second, the difference could be tens of millions of dollars in buying or selling a stock. So what is the value he's providing to the universe? He's providing access to information earlier than other people. There were at the time he came out with this, there were not other ways to get that information in such a timely manner. All right, so practical application. Let's look at some specific occupations you can do to practice leverage. Because if you're here every week, you know I'm all about practical application. I'm not talking abstract theories here. I like to talk about stuff that you can actually put into place. So what are some careers, jobs, vocations, occupations you could do to practice leverage? I'm going to start with coding or programming, because this is the sexiest thing on earth right now, right? The ability to do what Jeff Bezos did to get that vitamin order that you all just witnessed for me to place. When you can program code, you can practice leverage on a scale that's, it's almost mind-numbing, right? I don't even, the J.K. Rowlings of today, the Lady Gagas of today, the John Rockefellers of today, the Steve Jobs of today, they don't even need the physical realm in many cases. They're creating digital products. So yes, the business model currently is Lady Gaga signs with a record company. The record company, you know, makes a deal with her for royalties. They press a finite amount of actual physical CDs, and even some vinyl LPs are still being made. And they're creating platforms for that music to be streamed to Spotify and radio stations and things like that. But the truth is, it's a good value for her maybe to use a record company to do that, like artists have done for decades. But she doesn't really have to do that anymore at any point in the process. And people are doing this every day on YouTube, every day on TikTok, every day on Spotify, every day on Follow My Band, or I forget what the name of it is, different platforms like that, and platforms that people just create by themselves to take their talent, turn it into a digital product which can be delivered in the ethers, right? Jorge does not have to have a publisher for his next book. Paula does not have to have a publisher for her next book. She could write a book, turn it into an ebook, and she can sell it from her living room and never involve a publisher, right? If she knows how to code, she can do that herself. And if she doesn't, she can obviously leverage labor. If she gets someone to say, yeah, how much would you charge me to take my 40,000 Word document and turn it into a digital ebook that I can sell? Or I'm going to read it out loud and I'm going to sell it for an audiobook. You know, my Radical Rebirth book just came out in audio about 10 days ago, right? So I have it on Apple Books. I have it on audiobooks. I have it on audible.com, right? So I'm selling thousands of copies of that book, but I only went in the studio one time. And it took me about 8 hours of recording time to produce a 6-hour audiobook one time, and now it's being sold thousands of times, right? So I love coding for that. That's not me, you know what I mean? I'm not a digital native. I wasn't born when computers were really in use, so I don't feel it's a good, the right use of my time at my age to go and learn coding. But man, if I was 25 or 35, I might be really looking serious at that. Let's talk about the next one, which is being an investor. I like this because I think it really allows you the power to harness your mind for leverage. Now, this is, again, it's a skill, it's a / talent. And you're going to need the judgment. You're going to need the discernment. You're going to need the critical thinking ability. But I was looking at my investment accounts yesterday, and I have a Wealthfront account, which is a automatic trading platform. The computer algorithms actually choose the companies to invest in based on the parameters I give them. What's my risk reward ratio? And I talked about them in that blog that I wrote. We talked about a couple of weeks ago called Beat Your Burn Rate, right? So Wealthfront is one. There's some other ones as well. Wealthfront is just here in the United States for you guys who are asking. They're not overseas yet. But so I have a Wealthfront account, then I have a Robinhood account. Robinhood is another trading platform that Art Jonak turned me on to a couple of years ago. And you pick your stocks then, and you buy them without a broker. You just say, hey, I own Shopify stock. So I was really excited when I got a signal message from Art yesterday talking about the Shopify earnings. But anyway, the point is I looked at my accounts, and my Robinhood, the return on investment for my Robinhood account is about 10 times greater than the return on investment for my Wealthfront account, which is exactly the way it's supposed to be in my mind. And people say, well, man, why don't you close the Wealthfront account and put it all in your Robin? No, I don't want to do that because I believe in diversifying my income. And I have some things which are low risk, moderate reward. And then I have things that are high risk, higher reward. So for instance, in my Robinhood account, that's where I'm investing in companies that I expect to 50x my investment, 75 times my investment. Because they're biotech companies, or but I think in every case they practice leverage. So I'm able to do with my mind, I'm able to create wealth because I can look for and evaluate public companies that have stock that they're offering for investment, and look and say, I think they have a real significant opportunity for growth and profitability, and their stock is going to continue to go up. So make no mistake, I'm not a day trader. I can go 3 months without even looking at my accounts. I don't buy and sell because of what somebody's tweeting out or what somebody says. They always have the Squawk Box show on in the gym when I'm working out, and the day traders are just frothing at the mouth to buy or sell based on what someone says on that show. But there's 2 million other people watching that show who are all doing the same thing. I don't want to get sucked into that. When everybody's zigging, I want to be zagging. So as you can be an investor and use your mind to create wealth. So that's one I like. The coding I don't do, but I like. And then there's 3 more that I not only love, but I practice myself like I do with the investing. The first is direct selling. Companies like Herbalife, Nu Skin, Amway, Pampered Chef, Fusion, there's hundreds of them, right? They allow you to practice leverage because you can sponsor people into the business, help them develop a customer base. They can sponsor other people in the business, help them develop a customer base. So you can create an organization that you might personally sponsor 27 people over the course of 3 years. And that turns into a group of 5,000 distributors, which is selling products to 50,000 people who are buying your product or service every month or on a regular basis. And because you helped bring those people into the business and train them, you get an override commission on the volume produced by your team. That's leverage. So if you don't have the ability to write a song like Lady Gaga, or you don't have the ability to write a book like J.K. Rowling, you can still practice leverage. It's a model. Okay. So yeah, what do I care what Seth Godin says about direct selling, Jorge? What does he know about direct selling? I think he knows as much about direct selling as I know about brain surgery. So I love him. I could take you over here to my bookcase and I could show you 5 different books of Seth Godin, okay? But I'm not going to him for advice on direct selling, okay? Because he doesn't understand it. And just like I'm not going to him for advice on heart surgery or bunions or gardening or whatever else that he might not know about. Now, next category, real estate. I might have done more wealth creation for myself in this avenue than anything else. And I'm not a real estate flipper. I don't buy and sell houses and rent them out and hire management companies because I don't want all that drama and trauma. But, my model is I buy a place that I want to live in a neighborhood that I think has long-term value, growth potential. I look for formerly blighted neighborhoods that are going rebirth, like my condo in San Diego was in the gas lamp in the East Village, which was just turned into the sexiest neighborhood. I bought a condo in South Beach when it was just dead. There was nothing there, right? This island that I'm on now, I have a penthouse here in a condominium in a area that a bunch of people like me just said, you know what? I can't live in South Beach anymore. The traffic is impossible. The government is ridiculous. Even now, right? With the pandemic, the city of Miami Beach, I mean, they want curfews every night. They want, they drove all of the people who came down for spring break. I mean, they were putting 8 p.m. curfews in the evening. It's like, okay, so I guess the virus only transmits after 8 p.m., but before 8 p.m., it's not transmissible. I mean, what kind of stupid, stuff is that? So I bought this place up in this, what we would call North Beach, but I'm actually west of North Beach because I'm on this island west of North Beach, and it's booming and new. So I think I will again do really well whenever I decide, hey, it's time to move to the next one. So I buy places like that. I gut them out to the studs. I remodel them to live in the kind of place that I want to live in. And then when I sell them, I, sometimes make $200, $300, or $400,000 in appreciated value from when I bought it to when I sell it. And then the last category that I want to talk about that I just love is what we're doing here today in this ministry, this for-profit ministry I'm doing, which is I'm an information entrepreneur. I sell information, and I have, I look at what's happening. I evaluate it with my judgment, with my discernment, with whatever level of wisdom I've developed to this point on the planet. And then I present my thesis. It might be in a podcast, might be in a blog post, might be in a book, a seminar, a workshop. Companies pay me a lot of money for my brain to consult with them. I have people pay me $10,000 a year to be in my coaching program, to sell them access to my brain. And what am I doing? I'm just selling information. I see the lovely and talented Ron Carr is in the chat this morning. So Ron is a sales trainer, right? Many years. He has a new book. Do I have it on my? Yes, I do. You better send me a check, Carr. Here's his new book, which I have on my credenza here, The Velocity Mindset. So what is Ron doing? He's selling information. He's been involved in the selling profession for decades. He's learned things that work. He's learned what doesn't work, and then how to take that information and accelerate the marketing for your business or your company. So he put it in a book, and the book sells for $28 United States, right? So he doesn't have to write every copy of that book all over again. He wrote it one time. So those are the kind of occupations: direct selling, real estate, coding, information entrepreneur, and investing, where I believe you can leverage your talents and your skills to manifest more prosperity. All right, I'm going to give you your assignment, and this is a big one. But before that, last reminder, I do this on a pay-as-you-go basis. Whatever you think the information is worth, I ask you to support the show. Support it two ways. One, by sharing the links and telling your friends about it. The replays will be up on Monday. And two, financially. I'm modeling the principles I'm teaching. Principles of prosperity, free enterprise, and generosity. There's the website again, randygage.com/go, whatever. If it's $1 a week, if it's $2 a week, just let me know you're out there and you appreciate the work. I'm doing this as a kind of experiment. If enough people are sharing it and supporting it, I'm going to continue it. And so it's going to be up to you guys whether you find value in this and that I make time to do this every Saturday. Okay, so your assignment, here's the ultimate goal that you need to work on here. I want you to reverse a dynamic. And let me tell you what I think that dynamic is. Right now, the dynamic for most of you in this room is you are trading time for money. So your homework this week is to find a way to trade money for time. So we're going to completely flip the script, right? Because what is everybody doing? They're okay, I'm going to Taco Bell. I'm working for 8 hours in the drive-thru. They're going to pay me $8 at whatever much an hour. Okay, I'm a brain surgeon. I'm going to perform 2 surgeries this week, and they're going to pay me for doing those surgeries. Where I think prosperity and an abundant lifestyle comes in is when you get to the point where you say, I can trade some of my money for time. See, I don't clean my house. I have a housekeeper who I pay to do that. I don't detail my cars. I have someone I pay to do that. There are things, a lot of you on this listening and watching right now, you need to ask yourself, can you really afford to mow your own lawn? Can you really afford to clean your own house? Can you really afford to do your own laundry? I pay Instacart to shop my groceries for me. Why? Because the time I spent, I did an order this week, and when it finished, the screen popped up. Brilliant marketing technique. They said, so far you have saved 248 hours using Instagram to get your groceries delivered. That's 248 hours of my life that I would have spent in the supermarket trying to tell the difference between creamy, skippy Jif and crunchy Jif. That I don't need to, I was able to take that 248 hours and I can do either one of 2 things with it. Number one, I can use that time to create more wealth, or you know what else I can do? I can take that time to go lay in the hammock on my balcony and read a book. I can take that time to be with somebody I love, holding hands, walking along the beach. I can use my money, I can trade it for more time doing what makes my life prosperous. So that's your homework for this week. And remember, we'll be checking in next week to see if you're doing all that. Okay, so here's the lesson for next week for you guys who want to know the 7 empowering beliefs for prosperity. That's what we're going to do next week. So thank you all for watching. Mad love from Miami. Peace.